Good morning, everyone. It's Andrew, Supercharged Stocks. Welcome, Austin. Good morning to you. Today is going to be an exciting day because we're talking about a company we've delayed a couple times because you've been so busy, but we have Alain Ghiai, who is the CEO and president of GlobeX Data, and we often refer to as Sekur. So we don't mind people getting used to if we say we're using Sekur for any of our messages and for our emails. This is the company. This is the man who's leading the charge and doing, quite honestly, what should just be like a given. When we first started doing all of our email exchange, and a lot of our technology is having our information, our intellect, our messaging to be our own, and to have some privacy and some rights to our own thoughts and property. Anyways, we're going to get through a lot, and we welcome any of your questions. Alain, how are you? How are things going?
Hi, Andrew. Thanks for this wonderful introduction. Hi, Austin, and everyone who's watching us. Doing great. And yes, Sekur is basically the answer finally to having your privacy back when it comes to email and messaging. We are the only platform in the world that doesn't hook up to big tech. So we're not Amazon Web Service hosted or Microsoft or Google. Anybody can go to sekur.com, sekur.com, and check it out. We have a lot of good stuff happening in the company as well. This is going to be an amazing product and solution for people worldwide. So we're very excited.
Yeah, these are one of these interesting companies that we get to talk about where we like the product, like we're using the product, so we're excited about the product. So I could talk about the use of product for different types of groups, never mind then also the stock. Often when we talk about a stock, we may not ever use the product. It may not actually have any tangible benefit directly to us, but this is one where we can legitimately see a big use, an obvious use for business. I mean, protecting data in business. I mean, there's too many stories out there weekly, and there are websites that have like weekly hacks, and it's big companies that are hacked weekly. That even the mainstream news, it's not that they're avoiding talking about it. It's just there's that many. And I think people would be inundated if they saw and they spent all day long. They'd be kind of horrified if you saw the amount of massive hacks. And of course, the Facebook one of 565 million users is an astonishing one. But this is a company where we get to see where it fits in for a company, for a retail, the actual products. We use the product, and you can see then there's going to be a huge opportunity in the stock itself.
I wanted to add as well, a lot of people who are watching us do trade stocks, sometimes some of them for a living, some of them as a hobby. And when you do communicate with your broker or your friends and you chat, mostly everybody has Facebook. If you think you're going to be smart and you can use Signal, it's the same thing because it's Amazon. Essentially, anybody can read your text and also your email. So if you do bank transfers or anything like that, they can have your bank information or your trades. And it goes very far in some emerging market countries, for example, like Mexico. If a very wealthy person chats on WhatsApp and then they give their addresses or I bought 10,000 shares of Apple kind of a thing, they're labeled as a wealthy person. I mean, you have kidnapping, you have things like that. There's no such thing in Canada, but they do steal the money that's in your bank account. I mean, do you really want everybody to know the kind of trades that you have? Yeah. So with Sekur, the good news is that we don't ask for your phone number, so you're invisible. You register with a username and a password. We don't social engineer your address book, and everything is confidential. And I should add, of course, the most important thing is that we store all the data in Switzerland. And that means that nobody can subpoena that data unless you commit a penal crime in Switzerland and a Swiss federal judge asks for that data. Basically, there's new laws. I think legal-wise, it's really important to know that there's a new law in the US called the Cloud Act, CLOUD. There's an acronym for everything in these laws, and this stands for something as well. And essentially, it dictates that even if your data is on-premise in your own country, basically, if you're using a US infrastructure, we all do, Amazon, Google, Microsoft, then that data can go right back to the US. Now, us being the only platform in the world with these kind of solution, that is proprietary platform, proprietary technology, not using open source, we can guarantee that privacy. That's a huge thing. And, I should mention shamelessly here, I'm going to put a plug on it. It's $10 US or 13 Canadian a month.
Yes.
And then we'll talk about per month per user. We're also planning to do a messenger only version, which will be around $5 to $7 Canadian a month. And another cool feature, I'm talking a lot here, but I'm really excited about our product.
Yeah.
Another cool feature is that we're the only solution in the world where you can message someone that doesn't have the app. Now imagine if you're a real estate broker. Vancouver real estate is not cheap, neither is Toronto. A lot of activity in real estate. Remax, our partner, which is the largest international real estate franchise in the world, is excited to push Sekur to their brokers, because a broker now can message a client and add maybe their financial advisor as a group without the other two having the app. So they receive an email. It says, Alain wants to chat with you. They click, they chat live. They can exchange information and documents. And when the conversation is over, the person who initiated the conversation can terminate everything. Now, in this whole process, the other people didn't have to download the app, register for it, put a password or anything. That's unique, and it has many applications, not just in real estate. I mean, legal, financial, medical. Let's say you want your test result from COVID.
Yes.
How are you going to get it? Everybody's on Messenger now. So you're certainly not going to put it on Facebook, would you? And that's exactly what WhatsApp is. It's owned by Facebook.
Yeah.
So we're pretty excited about all the possibilities, and we're very happy to finally bring some real privacy to people worldwide. And I'm sure you're going to ask me some questions about our plans in the future. So I'm going to let you take it from here.
Well, I think taking a big step back and just highlighting some of these industries that are obvious. I mean, that the health sector is one. I mean, right off the bat, when you think of any test results, if you look at insurance, you have to send a report, or your doctor sends a report to an insurance company. Any of this data must be secure, and it shouldn't be open to anyone unless you choose to give it to someone. And especially in a day like today with COVID, and you're getting results, and you may want them, hey, listen, just text it to me or send it to me. There's a better way to do this. And using secure messenger is the way that would be optimal, because once again, we get too used to thinking, oh, well, what's the big deal? Your information is data, and it's worth something. That's the first big deal. Two, a lot of people don't want people to know. I mean, that's your privacy. That's your own, there could be results and medical results you don't want people to know about. So that's a very obvious sector where it makes sense. Austin and I work in a sector where sometimes we will get a press release. We'll get known information that has to be sent to us that's coming out at 6 a.m. so we can see it an hour beforehand. And if someone could intercept that, they're going to know right before the market something that someone else won't know. And if someone can just send us something in a secure and say it's deleted at 6:01, then it's gone. And that's another application that's just in my everyday life. I use it. Never mind, you mentioned real estate as well. But Austin, what are some of the other ones that came to mind for you?
Yeah, obviously looking at it at the surface, I know you guys are building up this kind of rival idea to WhatsApp. So what, in your kind of own opinion, Alain, what sets you guys apart from WhatsApp? Is it purely just the secure aspect based in Switzerland, or what makes you guys a cut above what they're doing?
So that's a really good question, because we actually just finished a document, both for the email and for the messenger, of what sets us apart from the so-called competition. So WhatsApp to start, in fact, all of the other applications, they require your phone number to register. That is 99% of the time how a hacker will get into your phone and into your account and your address book. So not only you will be hacked, but all of your contacts in your phone will have that same malware put to them, and they will be hacked as well, and their contact and so forth. As fast as WhatsApp became popular and got propagated, because you could send a text to someone and say, hey, I'm using WhatsApp, same with Signal, as fast as a hacker can get into you and the entire network. So that's one big thing. No phone number required, already privacy by design. Infrastructure, proprietary. We don't use AWS or any other of the big tech platforms that are out there compromised on a daily basis. proprietary technology, no open source coding. That's big. We have a true self-destruct timer. That means that if you say I want my messages to be destructed every 10 minutes, they are destroyed from my device, the recipient, and what we call bare metal, which is in our servers in Switzerland. Also, it doesn't hurt the fact that we store our data only in Switzerland according to the Swiss privacy laws, which for data are the strictest in the world. The other thing is that you can't just add me on Sekur. I need to know your SM number. I just did before the show started, and then you have to accept me. And this is a kind of like the old BlackBerry phone where they had BBM, but there was still a flaw with BlackBerry because you had the person's phone number here. You don't need to. The other thing, if you use more than one device, for example, or you have multiple SIMs like I do, it's one account for all of your devices, as opposed to if you use WhatsApp and you have a Canadian number and maybe a US number, or you have your desktop and then your phone and they're different accounts, so it doesn't synchronize. So, and then there's a plethora of other things that I'm not going to get into, one of them not being subject to the Cloud Act. Privacy is huge. Also, I should have mentioned, first thing, we never data mine your information.
Yes.
Never. We don't even have it. And whatever little information we have, we don't data mine it. So you pay us your monthly, yearly fee. We guarantee you that privacy is going to remain. That's massive. And that's true with our email as well. We have an email application that comes with Sekur. In fact, in the email, we have that Secure Send feature. If I may, to give a quick example, I just opened an account in a stock brokerage and they asked me the statements from my other broker. And normally people would just email it. Of course, it's the first, most people use Office 365, or if not, it's Gmail or Hotmail. You email it to your broker. That email is on the open internet. And that's why you have email phishing, business email compromise. And this is how people get money taken out from their account, like it happened with Robinhood and a ton of other bank accounts that we can list. So what I did is I sent a Secure Send to the broker, no instructions. They received an email that says, Alain sent you something, click here. They clicked and they suddenly are in our encrypted environment. And I said, please use Secure Reply. And then they can do Secure Reply. So that whole transaction happens within the server environment. So I can go round trip, have a bunch of emails back and forth. My account got open. They sent me my account number. Can you imagine on a daily basis all of the things that happen? And this is why you have the compromise. With Secure Send, which is a feature in our Secure application, you guarantee yourself that the whole transaction is in Switzerland. And similar to how you can send a message to someone that doesn't have the app, they basically click and then they're in our environment. The reason why the other companies don't do these things is A, because they want to data mine you. So they make way more money from data. Microsoft got hacked. I mean, that was the hack of all hacks with SolarWind a few weeks ago. Their source code got stolen. And if you look at Microsoft, they're really a database company from Xbox when you're a kid all the way to LinkedIn now. So they sell data. They also sold data to Facebook, by the way. These guys exchange data all the time. They're not there to protect your information. No. They may offer you a very good office tool and maybe an email that goes with it, but they're not interested in your privacy. So that's critical to understand. If you want privacy and security and you really be guaranteed, we're pretty much the only game in town right now.
I've got a good analogy, and let's see if you like it. Is that if we just broke it down to an older system, if like an old post office. So if I'm sending Austin a letter, I'm going to send him a letter, and hopefully it gets there. He's going to look at it. This is what email is. It's just very fast. But the added difference now is I would assume if I send that letter, it just gets to Austin. He'll read it privately. What today is email and messenger and services. I send that letter to Austin. Someone then opens the letter up, makes a copy of it, keeps it for themselves, the post office, and then sends the letter on to Austin. And they keep that indefinitely. And that's everyone's. And that's what data mining is. Now, they may not do anything with it. It may be useless information. It might just be data that's of no value. but it added up, and you take into everyone in account. It's this, that literally they're opening your mail, making a copy of it, keeping a copy of it. And there's only a few countries I've known that do that type of thing, and they're usually communist Eastern Bloc.
Totally. And I'm going to give you a scarier analogy. This is a very good analogy because I use it, but I go one step further. This is like sending an open postcard, like we used to do as kids, send postcards when we went on a trip. Yeah. I don't know how we could do it. It's like everybody could read everything, but basically a postcard, which is fully open, as opposed to a FedEx package. Or if you want to move money, are you on a bicycle where you're open to all the elements, or in a Brinks truck? We are the Brinks truck of email and messaging. We're not the bicycle or the open postcard. No. And I like the analogy that you put, because people can understand, hey, open postcard or a letter that anybody can open with Steam. I remember in the old days, they used to do that. They used to use Steam to unglue the thing, then put it back. Now it's even easier. The machine can literally read everything like an open postcard. And that's what those hackers do. And somebody might say, well, why are you so different, aside from you have it in your secure server, but to get there, you're kind of open. Well, here's the answer. What we do is we have a proprietary, we call it a tunneling system. Our Helix technology wraps the connection between, let's say, your device to get to our server, which is instant. It wraps multiple layers of encryption around 2048-bit encryption, which is the highest you could get. So we have multiple levels of encryption. And then when you're in our database, we isolate each user from another in a very complex way with multiple encryption, as opposed to everybody being in the same database. And when that database is hacked, it's like the virus, everybody's affected. Here, each person is isolated multiple ways. And to understand encryption, it's really simple. Encryption is about processing power. Are you trusting your $1,000 phone to have a lot of encryption power, a lot of processing power to encrypt, or are you going to trust $1 million worth of servers to process all that algorithm to create an encryption key? It's as simple as that. I wouldn't trust my phone because the battery is going to be drained in 5 seconds if it has to use the computing power that we do. And the chips don't even have those processing power. That's why the encryptions get hacked, essentially. And, for $10 US a month, I mean, you're just not going to bother. You might as well have the best, the Bentley of everything. That's what we are.
And we're certainly not saying this, and that's a big distinction too. This is not a social media app. A lot of people think, and if you're just chatting and sending funny pictures to each other and about your puppies and whatever, then just go on WhatsApp, send it over. It's not a big deal. But if you're sending something by courier, you sending something that's a document that's necessary, you need to have this nowadays. I mean, you need to have it. So, and that is just about everyone. So it isn't just specific groups. It could just be a real estate deal. It could be anything. It could be a contract for work, and you just don't want people to know what your salary is. Or there's a million reasons, but it doesn't need to be every conversation. It's just your secure, important conversations need to go by a courier or a Brinks truck. I love that analogy.
That's exactly true. And I don't think a serious business would run their business on Facebook for communication. And that's exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah, no, I think that's absolutely brilliant. You guys have created something there that makes the, not just the average person, but your business professional, you can scale it up. You can scale it all the way up to political parties, I'm sure. But something is going to make you feel secure, feel like your data is protected, feel like you're not subject to kind of the big tech data mining. It's a brilliant idea. And something I want to get into, as well as you guys have had some exciting news rolling out lately. I know you're looking at a Latin American launch. Do you want to walk us through what that looks like, Alain, and kind of the exciting news you guys have had over the last week or so with that?
Sure, Austin. So what we did is the partnerships. First of all, I'd like to mention to our viewers that with the last round of financing that we did in the company at 30 cents a share, with a 2-year half warrant at 50 cents Canadian dollars, we raised $1.22 million. We now have about $2.8 million in the bank. We have zero debt, no convertible, nothing like that. We always refuse debt and very toxic financing, even though we are being offered often those kind of financing. These are real equity, real long-term shareholder, powerful shareholders that believe in our story. So now we have the fuel for the growth, so to speak. And this was the last financing we did for private individual. The next rounds, if any, in the future are going to be institutionals. So what we did is we signed a deal with America Movial. That's part of an older deal that we did pre-COVID. COVID put a damper on things in the emerging market. But this new launch is for the messenger only. And we did in integration, we did the language. I mean, there was a lot of details to put together. What's interesting is that now America Movial, which is the 7th largest telecom in the world, owned in majority by the Carlos Slim family, which is one of the richest men and families in the world, based in Mexico. They operate in about 20 countries, and they have about 270 million subscribers. We're going to start in Mexico to launch Secure Messenger as a replacement to WhatsApp. There is a need there, and now there is a demand, which is unusual because before you didn't see that urgency and that security application and privacy. So we're very excited to tell everyone that around April 12 next week, we should be officially training and launching Secure Messenger with Telcel. Anybody that goes to Mexico, they're probably going to be on the Telcel network. It's basically the AT&T of Mexico, or if you had that one mega player that has a 70% market share, that's Telcel. Then we also have another partner, the largest cybersecurity operator in Latin America, the largest reseller. We're launching in May and June. We're going to launch Colombia and Panama. So our goal is to do Latin America. And for the other one, it'll be the full feature or the messenger. Whereas Telcel, because it's just easy to say, hey, it's like WhatsApp for business. That's an easy sell for a salesperson. And then they have, millions of people they can sell that to. So Latin America this year is going to be the big push. Then on top of that, we're launching in the US. And the difference is that in the US, we're going to go direct to market. So it could be a senior executive of a business that buys the application, or a regular person that just wants privacy. It's not necessarily B2B. We have partnerships with about 4 conservative media companies in the US that are more prone to these kind of privacy type tool, and they don't want to get their data stolen by big tech and so forth. I think altogether they probably represent 7 to 10 million visitors a month on a unique visitor basis. And we have somebody extremely famous that I'm excited to announce when they will start at the end of May that will promote, secure, and endorse it. A very famous person in the US. So our goal is that in May, June, to push in the US, of course, beyond that, the idea is to target 5 million very targeted people, and we're going to get a portion of that and then grow organic from there. And last but not least, we have an agreement with a company called Synex. Synex trades on the New York Exchange under SNX. They just did a mega merger with another company called Tech Data, owned by a huge private equity group called Apollo Group. This is a $7 billion US merger. We are now with Synex Canada. In fact, this morning, our team in Toronto was doing sales training for their resellers. Synex Canada has 6,000 resellers, and we're hoping to get to Synex USA, which probably has about 3 times as much. And this is purely B2B. So if you're a business and you have your IT person handling things, that IT managed service provider buys everything from Synex, and we sell to Synex. So it's like being the wholesale, let's say.
Yeah.
And then the very last news, we're hoping to close in the next 8 weeks, a very large telecom in South Asia. This will be our second telecom operator. So we're very excited. This is a momentum coming now.
Yes.
And that's important to note. And there's definitely value in what we're going to offer.
Yeah, you can from those level and the scalability of this, you can feel this momentum and surge behind has the potential to propel this forward quite a bit, because we're talking about scalability and the large scale of numbers. And at the numbers you're talking about just now, I mean, 1% penetration rate is significant.
I mean, and that's another thing, Andrew, if I may, I will address people who ask me sometime, do you have enough machine? How many people can you board? So today we can board 1 million people. Okay. And we bought enough infrastructure, machines and so forth to board another 1 million. Those machines have to be sent to Switzerland. We have to send our tech there. We probably will do that over the summer. But 1 million people, even at the smallest, the biggest discount you could imagine, that would be $2 million a month in monthly recurring revenue. That would be a good problem to have. If I need more people, we'll charter a jet to go to Switzerland and install those machines. I'm not too worried about that. Because when you make $24 million a year and you only burn 800,000, which is something we didn't address, our company is extremely lean. The CEO, myself, doesn't take a salary or management fee. I am the largest shareholder of the entire company. Our CFO is a big shareholder. We have very strong management. Our board members, one of them used to build the majority of all the Nokia and BlackBerry phones in the world. And the other board member is a 30-year veteran of Silicon Valley, an executive at Workday, which is one of the largest software companies in the world, also on the NASDAQ. So we have good management, good cash management, a lot of cash in the treasury, an amazing product that, as we all believe, of course, and as our clients start to use, we have shareholders, small shareholders that buy the product, they swear by it, they love it. We have an amazing following. And I think that now the momentum is starting. I should mention that I think in a week there will be a report by a corporate advisory firm, a cheap plug here, sorry, called Tormont. I hope you don't mind.
No, of course not.
Very well-respected advisory firm that is putting out a report on GlobeX. And what they do is they're going to send it to 75 buy-side funds, which means long-only funds. And that should basically generate some interest from the retail broker and fund investment. We have a couple of big overseas funds that are kind of sniffing around. And so we're getting the interest of professionals now, because the company is slowly maturing to become probably an attractive deal for these professionals, because they always have that 1 and 2 year time frame. We do plan, again, it's a planning, it's not a guarantee. We do plan to be profitable within 12 to 18 months. And that's in tech, in our business, in SaaS market. When you're profitable, it's just, it's a dream come true. And this is our objective, is to be profitable. And down the road, maybe 2 or 3 years from now, as we increase our asset and our profitability, we do want to go to the TSX Senior Exchange. And at that point, that's when you start paying a dividend and so forth. Our management and most of our big shareholders, in fact, all of them have a different time frame typically than a trader, but we're looking at 5 years down the road what this company will be.
No, and typically, I mean, Austin likes to trade, and he can jump on that part of the chancellor or the market and that. But I like building, companies that are building companies, building forward. And even when I was at Merrill Lynch, I mean, a staple of that would be like a discounted future cash flow. You're looking at what the cash flow of the business is. This is a cash flow cow. This is amazing. Once you get going, that finding a valuation for you becomes very easy. And once all of these programs that you've initiated and built up, like you've done so much heavy lifting already, that people are getting in this, if they agree with the thesis, which I think most people can see today, it makes a lot of sense. Why I'd want to send some of my documents with security. That this company has massive potential.
It's got a lot of potential, and what is really good is we are very good at managing our expenses and cash flow and adapting to a situation, just like what happened during COVID. We are very, very flexible in that sense, to the point that once we reach 5,000 consumer, like full price client, we are on a break-even mode in the company. Now imagine we're going to target millions of people in the US. we're going to get more than 5,000 people down the road. And then we have Latin America, South Asia, we have our partners and so forth. And with the cash that we have in the bank today, as far as we can tell, we certainly have enough cash until profitability. That's not to say that if a very strategic overseas fund comes in and says we want to accelerate your growth, we wouldn't accept more money, but there will not be a need to take money. And that is a very enviable position where you have zero debt, no convertible, nothing coming out of the woodworks, almost 3 million in cash in the bank, and you're just within a month of generating higher revenue. That is really a very unique position to be in.
Yeah, because like I said, and sorry, Austin, you can jump in a second. Just it adds to that question of, well, what happens if Google and Amazon and Facebook and Fang and whatnot come along and say, okay, we'd like to offer you this, and they're essentially trying to do a hostile takeover. They're trying to that because the next level of who has influence on this product, on your company. And we'd had a private conversation a little bit about that. And right now you've answered it to some degree because you're the largest shareholder.
Well, it's a public information. I have about 30 million shares out of the 76, fully diluted, since we're talking about the cap structure now. As of today, that would mean if we exercise all the options, all the warrants, the IPO warrant, we didn't discuss, this company went IPO at 25 cents in July 2019. It got abandoned by its brokers, unfortunately, and basically completely dumped to the sideways. We had to survive on our own, but we made it. Today, we're trading higher than the IPO price, and we have more than twice the amount of cash in the bank. But at the IPO, there were 5.6 million warrants issued at 75 cents. Assuming that those get cashed in before July of 2022, and all the options and everything else, we would end up with about 99 million shares, and I would end up roughly around maybe 35, 40 million shares. If we accept a large funds in the future to put maybe $10 million or something like that, maybe we issue another, 20 million shares, I would still have like 30%. So at 30%, and that doesn't include our board, etc. 30%, you can make sure that your privacy is secure, because I'm a very big privacy person. And of course, the shareholders would decide at some point. But to be very honest, I think a lot of our shareholders, if not most, are very fierce about their privacy, and they want this to succeed. They don't want some big tech company to come and gobble us and destroy probably the only company left that still can offer you that kind of service.
Yeah, which is awesome, because I know when we were originally talking about it the first time that you and I ever spoke, obviously you sucked me in with the secure aspect of things and keeping my data protected. But what really attracted me to you guys was the capital structure and just how cashed up you guys were, and the momentum you had, kind of having done all this heavy lifting, building this momentum to really charge into all. You can see with everything you guys are doing, rolling out in Latin America, rolling out in the States, getting the South Asian deal done as well. That's what really excited me when I was looking at you guys. That's what really made this an attractive stock. And I know Andrew kind of touched on it a little bit about, I like to trade. I love to trade. I love day trading. It's a ton of fun. I enjoy it. But that doesn't mean I don't have common sense, stock picks in the back pocket that are sitting there as well. And you guys are one of the first on that list for me.
Thank you, Austin. And it's good to trade stocks. I mean, it does create liquidity.
Yes.
If you see today, whatever we're trading at is this price, and with what we have coming, you say, I'll trade it and I'll sell it when I make 20%. You can go back and forth on trade. You can build a small position for the long term, and you can have your main position as a trading position. And, nobody can time the market. Warren Buffett was the first person to say it. As far as I'm concerned, I accumulate whenever I can. I participated in this last round. I got 42% of the private placement was subscribed by myself. This is all public information. I've been accumulating some of these trading warrants as well. Some people like to play with those. I accumulate them, and I haven't sold one share just to profit from it or anything like that. I don't trade. And really our goal, my whole time is spent just building the business. And then once in a while, if I have a few extra dollars, I would buy in the market. I do it, people know it, and I put my SEDI filing, and it's great. When management buys, And we just had one of our board member exercise option. We have somebody else who's buying in the market in the company. So our CFO is a big shareholder. He's got a sizable position, you know. So when a CFO believes in the business, these guys are number crunchers, right? So
yeah,
they know what's happening. If a CFO really believes to the point of a long term and they keep buying, that is an excellent sign, because a CFO holds the key. They know the secrets of the company, all the financials.
Yes, yeah, for sure. Now I have to take a step back because we had a question come in. It's actually quite a good question. And it probably could take up a whole show, but we'll do a quick answer to this. And maybe when we have you on, we'll follow up on, but is some of this that we've talked about in regards to privacy and whatnot, is it in the terms and service? Because one of the ways that Microsoft catches you or Facebook catches you is that it's a 78,000 page terms and service agreement where you have to go yes or no. And if you say no, sorry.
You don't have a choice. That is an excellent question. And very on point, because I've been discussing with the telco in South Asia back and forth the last week, and they ask us for our EULA, end user license agreement.
Yes.
They're actually quite strict, which is nice to see. So short answer is we clearly say, I think there's like a 2-sentence thing that says we will never sell your data, period.
Yes.
Of course, you have the usual I'm going to use a not sophisticated word, mumbo jumbo or boilerplate. And then also, if you're under 13, you cannot use, you have all the legal stuff.
Sure.
We have the right to block an account if there's malicious, if there's this. But in terms of the data, it's only in Switzerland. We do not sell your data. That's it.
Perfect. Yeah, that was that one came in and I hadn't thought of it. And I thought that's very clever. It's very interesting.
And actually, whoever that person is, if you go to secure.com, sekur.com, and you go to, I think, privacy or license or something, you can click and read it before you even purchase the product. And also, when you purchase the product, you have to click to accept, or you can read the terms. And I should add also, if you purchase the product, you have 7 days free trial. I'm a total salesman here. I want everybody to buy the product, but essentially the information is all out there. Yeah, great question, by the way.
No, that was good. Well, let me just recap a couple of things. So, I mean, you're cashed up. You've got a number of programs that you already initiated in Mexico and in Latin America, and still continuing to build there. You've got a Southeast Asian push right now, as well as a large U.S. Approach coming summer-ish. I mean, we're gonna see a lot of movement there, but there's going to be a lot of work done already to get this momentum. We'll probably see some results of that soon, and we're gonna see a lot more push in the summer. So there's gonna be lots of news. So you guys are cashed up and ready to go. The strategy is being implemented. You're hitting milestones. What else am I missing?
I forgot to add a small thing. Our cousins in Australia. We do have an office in Sydney, and we have a representative there. We are discussing with a few managed service providers. We've talked to some private banks, and that brings me to the general strategy of the company. So for the until the end of the year, basically, the rollouts are going to be what you discussed: Latin America through partnerships, US direct to market and through partnership, Canada, Australia, couple of small partnership, and then maybe direct. Our goal is at the end of the summer to have a global platform where we can digitally advertise literally to these countries directly with their own currency. So if you're in Canada, it will pop up your IP address, it'll recognize. So you get Canadian dollars, for example, things like that. A global multi-currency platform, multilingual. German language is coming soon. We also in Australia, I think we're going to do some good stuff in Australia this year. And then at the end of the summer, beginning fall, we are launching Secure Pro, which is basically our answer to Zoom, because Zoom is not secure, neither is Teams from Microsoft. So it'll be voice and video conferencing, chat and email all in one. I think the price will be around $50 US a month. It seems a lot to some people, but to a lot of senior executives and the government authorities were discussed overseas, it's really not a concern. because that application will not even be available on iOS or Android. It'll be purely on our encrypted servers. And that's a premium product, and it's the answer of, I need to do a video call. So that's coming up as well. I think it's going to be extremely successful. So yes, you touched up on everything. Australia, I want to plug it in because we're doing stuff there, and a global push probably by Q4. And of course, fully cashed up. That is important. You're not going to see another fundraise in a month or in 2 months and dilutive, etc. Again, the only raise we would do in the future would be with a large strategic fund, and we would still maintain control. So for those who worry about somebody coming in or a hedge fund or anything like that, it's not going to happen. We still maintain the vision of the company will be continued.
Excellent.
Brilliant.
Austin, any final words?
No,
just thanks for watching. Yeah, sorry, Austin.
Yeah, no, it's just fantastic as always chatting to you. Absolutely love everything you guys are doing. The platform you guys have built for yourselves, and looking forward to what we're able to do, especially as you roll out with all these different markets, and the snowball's at the top of the hill now, and it's just going to start catching momentum on the way down. That's my thoughts on everything.
That's it. And we forgot to give the ticker. Do people know our ticker?
Yes, we had it coming by and scrolling by a number of times, but maybe you want to give a plug out to the different.
So on the CSE and the Canadian Security Exchange is SWIS with 1 S, SWIS. On the over-the-counter bulletin board is SWISF, because we're a foreign issuer in the US. And in Frankfurt, we trade as well under GDT, as in GlobeX Data. So SWIS, the main ticker in Canada, SWISF in the US, and for Europeans who are watching, GDT in the Frankfurt Exchange.
Excellent. Well, it was a real pleasure, Alain, and great to get an education and what's happening out there with encryption and with safe messaging. This is something we got right off the bat when we first spoke with you, and we were real excited about getting this out. And I can see the amount of people that'll have a strong interest in using this. And I just one last thing, like if I'm going to send a courier, even still, like a money order by bank, I'm paying $20. Just one. If I'm going to go send a couriered letter, like say I'm literally doing a private placement and I'm like, listen, I'm going to send this in the mail to you, signed documents, blah, blah, blah. Here's a check. I'm also going to spend, anywhere from $9.99 to $20, depending how fast in service. So people are paying this in snail mail and in other ways. Why wouldn't you do that? Over this electric mail? That's what it is, electronic mail. Don't you want to have this security? And yeah, I do.
In fact, the private placement, all the DRS and all the private placement, we only send using Secure Send. That's all we do. It's now the norm. If you're going to send a document that has financial info in it, use Secure Send. That's it.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, everyone, for watching. Thanks, Andrew and Austin. This was great. I really enjoyed it.
Enjoy the day. Take care.
Take care, guys.
Take care.